All right, welcome back. We are ACI Course 10, Class 9. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And there they are with you, gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about karma and emptiness, we glimpse how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. And with that intention, turn your mind back to your precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world. They are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Nirya Tayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. The last few classes we've been talking about mental afflictions. Any thought which disturbs our peace of mind. And we learned about those 6 primary ones: ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, pride, ignorance of karma, lazy doubts, and those 5 wrong views. And then we learned that out of those come the secondary mental afflictions. Not secondary meaning they're not so destructive, but meaning the primary ones are what trigger the secondary ones. And we have in that list, but not only, anger, retained anger, pre-anger, irritations, malice, jealousy, denial, like our own habits, not being willing to look at them to see whether they're positive or negative habits, pretense, shamelessness and inconsideration, hiding our faults, stinginess, conceited, lack of faith towards a qualified object, spiritual laziness, carelessness, like mental carelessness, which leads to physical carelessness, forgetfulness, meaning forgetful of our commitments, not just, I can't remember names, losing watchfulness, dullness, distraction towards pleasant objects, and scattering or agitation. And I thought it maybe would be helpful, rather than going through the quiz, to go through this list again and think what might be the opposite, like the positive opposite. And there isn't anything that I've come across in the scripture that says the opposite of this is that, except for jealousy and rejoicing. And when we think about these mental afflictions, to really try to pin them down to something so concrete that we could really match the opposite, we see that the mental affliction itself is got so many different nuances and flavors. But just for fun, right? Let's brainstorm and see what we can come up with. Because again, for my own personal practice, to avoid the negative is one thing. To train myself to do the positive feels so much more active and doable. And then, of course, it's helping me protect the negative ones as well, or not do them. So what do you think? What's the opposite of that? Those first few moments of anger, you are just absolutely sure that that person doing that thing, that unpleasantness, anger is the right feeling. What do you think is the opposite? I mean, now technically wisdom is the opposite of all of them. So don't give me wisdom. Give me something else. Tricky. What's the opposite of anger?
Like inclusion.
Yeah. Maybe like acceptance. Okay. You know, I'm willing to explore your whatever's going on here to see if I can find out what's going on. Yeah, Liang Sung said kindness,
Compassion.
compassion. That's what came up in my mind. Forgiveness. Yeah. All those, not the reaction we want to do, right? When anger is coming on. Don't tell me to be kind right now. Right? Like even when you're all upset and somebody goes, now calm down. Doesn't that like make you matter? Don't tell me to calm down. I'm justified in being upset, right? Get upset with me. No. So yeah, all of those are great suggestions. How about retained anger, right? That they did that to me, they did that to me, they did that to me. What do you think?
Forgetfulness.
Forgetfulness, really? Oh my gosh, I want to cultivate forgetfulness. That's a good one. I
For
was
the
thinking
reason I'm angry.
Yeah. Forgiveness, love, yeah. Tolerance, maybe. Understanding, trying to understand better.
Acceptance.
Acceptance, yeah. Yeah, I think acceptance is what fits for me so that I can let it go, right? Letting go. Easier said than done. How about the next one? Irritation, pre-anger.
It's calmness, like the serene being.
Yeah. I was thinking tolerance, because the irritations are, this is just not right. When I'm hungry, then everything else is worse, not right. And so I'm more easily on edge. So yes, a kind of patience that's that ability to better tolerate the discomfort that's making the irritation be more edgy. Patience. How about malice? Yes, Lansan. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I say I have difficulty trying to differentiate between that irritation,
Irritation and what?
and the first one, the anger.
The first moments of anger?
The anger that, so does irritation comes first or does anger comes first? Because it says that this one is derives from anger.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Let me see. Let me turn my volume upper. Still not getting it.
I can't hear you.
There.
Is it better?
There we go. We got it.
Sorry. Because I was trying to read the description. It says irritation is derives from anger and irritation. So does anger come first or does irritation comes first?
Yeah, the way I understood, they were describing the irritation as being this niggly upset. And that when we're at niggly upset, full-on anger is more easily triggered. So the underlying upset, it is still a form of anger, ignorant disliking kind of anger, right? Because it's like I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like that my body hurts every time I move. I don't like that I'm so tired. I don't like. And then when a big blasting one comes, it's like, bah, I can't take any more. And off we go. So really irritation comes out of the ignorant disliking. And then it is what puts us on edge for full-on anger. Experientially. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, staying in balance. As
Thank you.
opposed to the irritations, right? Yeah. Then malice. What do you think malice? Opposite of malice. Malice is like downright wishing something bad on somebody.
And compassion for them.
Yeah, compassion.
Being good, benevolent.
Benevolent. That's a great word. Yeah. Nice. And jealousy. We know that one. Rejoicing. Yay. About denial. Self-denial. Right? Not denial of climate change, but denial of not admitting some habit we have.
Honesty.
Honesty, right? Self-honesty. Even the
Self-awareness.
willingness to look, right? The willingness to explore. Yeah. Mm. And pretense was the next one, like putting on good qualities that you know you don't have, but pretending to have them in order to self-gain, right? Not in order to help somebody better, but in order to self-gain. No, again, honesty would come up here.
It can be integrity.
Integrity, right? Right.
Humility.
Humility, authenticity. Yeah. But, you know, people use that word authenticity. You know, it's not my authentic self to be on my best behavior all the time. And it's like, all right, authentic self is ignorant, selfish slob. You really want to be that? You know, maybe I don't want to be so authentic. But when we use authentic as wisely authentic, right? That works. What else do we have? That shamelessness. Right? Shame being self-conscientiousness, that the mental affliction is, I don't have any of that. So I'm willing to do a negative deed, even if nobody knows. Like, especially if nobody knows, I'm going to do a negative deed because nobody will know. What's the opposite?
Consideration.
Yeah. Yeah. Care. Pretend other people will know no matter what.
Yeah, respect for this.
Yeah. Maybe even self-respect, right?
Self-respect. Yeah.
I'm worth it. I'm worth not doing that. It really is an important piece. Then the inconsideration, willing to do an unkind thing because you just don't care the impact it'll have on other people. Not meaning the direct person you're doing the mean thing to. We obviously don't care about that or we wouldn't do it. But those watching or those hearing about it, you know, if we don't care about the person we're doing it to, we're for sure not going to care about anybody that hears about it. You know, unless maybe your teacher hears about it. Eek, right? Whoops. Then all of a sudden I do care a little bit. But what is that feeling? What's the opposite state of mind that would help us have that healthy self-concern about how my impact? What do you think?
Responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility. I like that. Responsibility. The next one, hiding our faults. That seems similar to the one before. But maybe like vulnerability, willing to be vulnerable.
Humility again.
Humility again, right? Mm.
Or like openness.
Yeah. Sort of the opposite of pride, right? Yeah, admitting. Stinginess. Generosity. Being conceited. Humility again. Humbleness. Lack of faith before qualified object. Devotion. Sincerity.
Respect.
What's that?
Respect.
Respect, yeah. Yeah. Spiritual laziness.
Joyful effort.
Thoughtful effort. Carelessness, mental carelessness. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Shishin, carefulness, awareness, watchfulness. Yeah. Forgetfulness, similar idea. And it would come out of a prioritization, I think. You know, if we're having trouble with our watchfulness and our carefulness, it's because this change we want to make in ourselves isn't really at the top of our priority yet. So to just try to cultivate watchfulness and carefulness, we might not to be able to just turn that on without having some underlying theme that helps us get there. That's true for all of these. The last three are those obstacles to in meditation, the dullness, distraction, and scattering. And, you know, the opposite of dullness is brightness, but it's not like we can just turn that on. I don't know about you, maybe you can, I can't. When I'm dull, it's in there, right? And I need to go to bed. But we
You were
can
saying
do,
it's
excuse me?
interest. Interest.
Interest, find something interesting. Or cultivate a mind that's interested in everything. Wouldn't that be cool? To be like the little kid. Wow, 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 wow.
Curious. Yeah, curiosity.
Curious. Yeah, that's good. Curious. Uplift. Nice. Yeah, good. Can you imagine yourself with all these good qualities? Say yes. And try it on for size someday. Good, Tone. All right. Today's class is chapter 5 of the guide, which is guarding awareness. And we're using the commentary, the entry point for the Children of the Victorious Buddhas by Gyaltsab J. Dharma Rinchen, whose dates are 1364 to 1432. I have that in my notes. I don't know it off the top of my head. So he says, after making our commitment to act like a bodhisattva, then we want to develop the ability to control our behavior and our mind such that we can actually keep those vows. Right? We can learn the behaviors that those vows are guiding us in to grow them into our habitual reactions to situations. So it requires two states of mind to cultivate, to be able to have this level of awareness of the state of our mind as it's triggering a reaction of our speech or body. So there's this window of opportunity experience happens, what do? Mostly, experience happens and we've reacted already. And as we're growing this recollection and watchfulness pair, we're able to get into that moment between experience and reaction and spread it out a little bit so that we can make a wiser choice in how we're going to act. Instead of react, we're growing these two states of mind through which we cultivate the ability to respond, right? Plant. We are planting whether we react or respond. But to be able to choose our response, now we're planting, hopefully, flowers instead of weeds. So this class tonight is about these two states of mind and Master Shantideva's recommendation for how we counter the obstacles to being able to grow these two states of mind. So we'll see where we go. So these two states of mind are Drempa and Sheshin. Hopefully those are familiar words. They are those two words from our meditation training. Drempa means recollection, meaning that quality of our mind that holds itself on the object. As it is in training, it is the state of mind that recognizes off the object, go get it, and pull it back again. It seems like we're going to get the object and pulling it back again. But actually what we're doing is we're going to get the mind and pulling it back to the object. And when we have full-on Drempa, meaning it's functioning all the time in our meditation, we can no longer lose the object. The example they give, it's like the mind being the elephant that's tied to the post. When our Drempa is not existent at all, the elephant is not tied to the post at all. The elephant is our mind. The post is the object of meditation. Elephant wanders off, right? Our mind wanders off. When our Drempa is starting to grow, the elephant is tethered to the post, but it's one of those elastic leashes like the dogs have now, and it wanders far away and then finally up and it gets pulled back again. And as Drempa gets stronger and stronger, the elastic won't go so far. And finally, it's tethered to that post and it doesn't go anywhere. Hopefully, it doesn't want to go anywhere, right? When Drempa is strong, it's not that we're forcefully holding our mind on the object. Drempa is so strong, we want to stay there. Once Drempa is full on, we can no longer lose the object. When we learn about meditation, we learn that at that point, the difficulties in meditation then are the swing between dullness and agitation. So dullness and agitation are states of mind while they're still focused on the object, just zoned out about it or agitating about it. And we're doing this swing between the two using the quality of mind called Sheshin to alert us, dullness happening, agitation happening, And then the meditator's job is to make the correction. Remember all that? So it's the same quality of mind, recollection, and sheshin. But now we're talking about those qualities of mind, watching ourselves off cushion, not in meditation, watching ourselves in our behavior choices such that we are avoiding the breaking the vows, cultivating the opposite, right? Cultivating the goodness instead. When we have those two together, strong, then we have this keen awareness of what's happening in our me and my experience of mind, of speech, of body. This keen recollection of our goal, this keen awareness of the experience, the feeling arising, what I want to do, what I'm gonna do, whether that's what is right or not, right? All of that, there's a part of this arsheshin that's like on top of it. Not making the decisions. There's still our me, whatever the heck that is, that needs to hear sheshin and go, oh, okay, I won't do that, I will do this. In that window of opportunity between they did that to me and I need to do that to them, right? So that what we do back again is going to plant seeds for some future that's better than what we just experienced, is the idea. Okay. So in our off-cushion time, we cultivate our recollection specifically on our goal for the day. And there are many different levels we can be working with this. We have our ultimate goal. I want to become totally enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. And if I can keep that in mind constantly during my day, I'm very likely to choose different kinds of actions towards others than when my mind is back on automatic pilot, right? Me, them, I need to protect me, and so I act. When we are holding our recollection on wanting to become Buddha, then there's a practice called the three close recollections. So this recollection that we're cultivating has these three aspects to it. One is the close recollection of the Buddha jewel, meaning we're holding in mind a Buddha's good qualities. What are a Buddha's good qualities? Their bodies, right? Their mind and their body. Mainly their attainment of omniscience. Or you could make the argument the attainment of the emanations. Although emanations without omniscience can't do much, but omniscience without emanations can't do anything. So, yeah, what is it about Buddha's qualities that is so important to recollect in order to train ourselves in our behavior choosing such that we can move ourselves towards that? It's the empty nature of the omniscience, the empty nature of the emanations, the empty nature of the paradise being, right? The empty nature of a Buddha is that main quality that reveals to us that we can become one. Why? Because our mind is empty too. And like, that's all I'm supposed to need to say, right? Prasangika, Madhyamika Prasangika. Just say this absurd thing and they'll figure it out by themselves. Buddha's mind is empty. Your mind is empty. See, you can become a Buddha. But I don't know, it took me years to connect that dot. But chew on it. The essence of the Buddha jewel is the Buddha's emptiness. They're no self-nature. They had to do stuff to plant the seeds, to ripen the seeds, to see themselves as Buddha. So they know what it took for them to do it. And if it's true that they are now omniscient, then they know what I need to do for me to do it too. So maybe they are somebody who could teach me, right? Who would teach me. So the first close recollection we hold in mind all day is the Buddha jewel, but meaning the emptiness of the Buddha and the emptiness of my mind, and so it's possible. Second close recollection. Wait, before I go there, Geshe-la went through those 4 bodies of a Buddha again. Remember, when we say 4 bodies, it doesn't mean 4 physical bodies, like 1, 2, 3, 4. It means 4 ways they manifest, 4 aspects. There really isn't a word that truly conveys it. So a Buddha has a mind and a Buddha has a body. And the body means their appearing nature. And they have an appearing nature that is that pure being as they perceive themselves in a pure world, their paradise being. Buddha you and Buddha paradise will be your paradise body. That body and the other appearing nature body, your emanations, are the results of those massive amounts of merit that we have made. Kindness born of wisdom plants the seeds that when the seeds ripen as paradise body emanating. The emanations are the way that the love and compassion aspect of our merit manifest. It's how we perpetuate our Buddha being. So paradise body, emanation body, born of virtue, both of them born of virtue. So is the mental being born of virtue, but not by the deeds of body and speech that we did. The deeds of mind that we did develop our mental body of Buddha, which there are also 2 of those, but one of them underlies all the others as well. So the omniscient being of your Buddha is that state of mind in which you are directly experiencing ultimate reality and appearing reality simultaneously in all three times, all beings, all times. I think for you, Buddha, there's never mind. So because of omniscience, that state of mind, part of what it perceives is what all beings need to give up and take up, unique to each one. If our mind did not know that, how would we know how to help beings? How would our emanations show up as just exactly what someone needs? Just because we show up as just exactly what someone needs, is that necessarily what they see? No. Does the emanation get upset because they don't see me? No, right? There's no sense of time, waiting, responsibility. It's spontaneous, effortless being what all beings need to stop their suffering. Your emanation being. Omniscience is the state of mind that is directly experiencing what they need. Right? The words would be they know it directly, but knowing is different than direct experience. Everything is direct experience for your Buddha year. We're not taking indications and putting it together into tree trunk and horse and cow. It's all direct, which is hard to conceive. So omniscience is one of the mental bodies of your Buddha you. It's a mental thing. It doesn't have a shape or form, our omniscience body. Then the fourth one, which sometimes isn't even counted because it underlies all the others. Sometimes they say there's 3 bodies of your Buddha. The fourth one is the Dharmakaya, which means the emptiness of all the rest. The emptiness of the paradise body, the emptiness of the emanations, the emptiness of the omniscience. Right? They have to lack their own nature to ripen as those things, if we can call them things. And that's another aspect of our Buddha, is this being that ultimate reality. So Drenpa Shishin are these 2 qualities of mind in which we are trying to cultivate this, I don't know, underlying motivation to create the causes for those 4 bodies. And that's what we're trying to hold our mind on as we do the dishes, as we sweep the floor, as we're in a traffic jam. Right? It's so hard. It's hard enough to keep it when we're sitting on our meditation cushion, you know, when the squeaky brakes go by and all the distractions we have. But to try to keep those recollections in mind while somebody's yelling at me, come on, that's impossible. No, it's not, says Master Shantideva. Nothing's impossible when we set our mind to it.
Rani?
Yeah.
Sorry. May I ask a question?
Okay.
What's the purpose of calling them bodies if they're qualities, actually, especially the one for omniscience?
Yeah, because
there-
I think if they were to say a Buddha has these 4 qualities, we're going to get stuck on a Buddha being there that has 4 qualities. Whereas saying that there are these 4 bodies, we want to be like, well, which one's the real one? Yeah, it's like there isn't a real one. There's these 4 things, right? Like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so close recollection of Buddha, really it's like close recollection of I want to become that. That makes it a little bit more interesting to want to close recollect that that's my goal, right? That's my career goal. Second close recollection is the close recollection of the Dharma jewel. So the Dharma jewel we understand is the direct perception of emptiness and the impact it has on our mind subsequently, and then using that to learn to live according to it in order to move ourselves through the Bodhisattva bhumis to that Buddhahood. It's the experience through which, when we're out of it, we have now had the direct experience that there is a Buddha, and a direct experience that there is a future you Buddha. And because that was a direct experience, when you come out of it, there's nothing and no one that can convince you that was incorrect. Right? All the circumstances around it ripening is part of the experience that reveals to us that's the first time we've experienced something both validly and correctly. So the second recollection is keeping in mind the power of and necessity for the direct perception of emptiness. So if our first close recollection is, I'm on the career path to my Buddhahood, the second close recollection is to get on that conveyor belt. I need to see that. I need to see emptiness directly if I haven't already. And if I have already, then the second close recollection is I need to use that wisdom, right, to move myself along through the Bodhisattva levels, through the sixth perfection, right? We're on Mahayana level here. So we're not even going to go down that path of the other schools. So it's not like it's an effort to keep your close recollection once we're Arya, I don't think. But to get to that point, we are wanting to cultivate this keen aspiration to see emptiness directly, right? Which I think we all are pretty well trained in that aspiration, but it can start to feel like it's pretty far away sometimes, and that itself is a blocker to it happening, right? We really do want to be kind of on that edge of, maybe tomorrow's meditation. And then that means today's meditation, I want to work really hard so that tomorrow's ought to be good too. Not that those two are connected necessarily. So the third level is the recollection, the third close recollection. What do you figure it's going to be? The Sangha jewel, which the Sangha jewel means those who have seen emptiness directly, who then are willing and eager to help other people come to understand how to do it. They're not omniscient. They don't know exactly what we need, but they do know what they did. They do know what's helped them. They are on the Mahayana path, let's say, in which case they care about us, and they're going to do whatever they can to help us be as successful as they were. Now, of course, they were successful. They had the good seeds. It wasn't so much what they did 3 days before their direct perception of emptiness that brought it on, but they do have that bigger vision now of what it takes for karma to ripen that kind of goodness. And they are going to teach us. So we're keeping this close recollection on the fact that those who have had the experience of emptiness directly are authorities that we should be able to rely upon and benefit from their teaching. And then when we're doing it in terms of I'm close recollecting my own Buddhahood and my own direct perception of emptiness, then we'd be close recollecting my own what I will do, what I intend to do when I'm Arya, right? And so we can actually even do do as close as we can for others, approximating the way an Arya would interact with others, because by doing so, even trying, we're planting the seeds to see ourselves actually Arya interacting with others, right? So it's a little bit like fake it till you make it, not meaning pretend, tell people you're Arya, not like that at all, don't get me wrong. But we can keep this close recollection at the quality of our interaction with others such that we can hold it to as high a level as possible as part of our practice, not in terms of tension and, oh, I can never do it well enough, but in terms of, this is the process. And so I try and I'll fail and I'll do my 4 powers and I'll work on it better. So these 3 close recollections, they seem almost impossible, but when our motivation or our interest is strong, they aren't so hard to keep in mind. In the same way as, I don't know, if we have a goal, you have some kind of goal, and you've got to go through 4 years of college to get to the goal. And you have all those classes that you can't see how they'll have anything to do with meeting your goal, but you have to do them. You do them because you've got your sight on your goal and you're just doggedly go through what you have to go through. It's the same kind of thing. Only here we're trying to include is not the doggedness, but the, wow, cool, right? This is how it works with these 3 close recollections. So in these 3 close recollections, the common theme, of course, is emptiness. So technically, if we're gonna want to recollect anything, recollect the emptiness of ourself, the other, and the interaction between, right? Recollect the emptiness of the 3 spheres. And then it's like, well, how do I do these 3 and those 3 and do the dishes all at once? And it's like, right? Training, practice, practice, practice. We're not meant to perfect it tomorrow or even the next day. We're not really even meant to put it all into practice in one day. It's overwhelming. I've had more than one people write me, I can't do all this. It's too much. Right. No, a bit at a time. A bit at a time. So then Master Shantideva via Gyaltsab Dre, he says, we can also use our Drempa in terms of choosing a virtuous activity for the day and keeping our elephant tethered to that one virtuous activity for the day. So set all this other stuff aside and decide, today I'm going to be going to a meeting where there's going to be all these other people. And I know my habit is going to be, I'm comparing myself to them and I'm going to get jealous of those people. And I'm going to choose to do my recollection, my Drempa, on my jealousy. And when it arises, I'm going to think, wow, my seeds are giving them those good qualities. Good for me. Good for them. I hope they use it really well to benefit a lot of people, because then I don't actually have to do it. They can go fly to Malaysia and do all that teaching. I can stay home because it's my seeds giving them the ability, right? It's a little funny, but Buddha's paradise body stays right there in Buddha paradise, and their emanations are out doing everything else. Our good seeds are doing stuff in the world by way of other people. I don't know. Are they your emanations? Might they be your emanations someday? They're not now because I'm not Buddha. But why not think, won't that be fun? That when I'm Buddha, right? My goodness goes and solves that problem. My goodness goes and grows that company. Fun. So Master Shantideva says, of the thousands of virtues that we can choose to cultivate, just pick one and recollect it throughout your day. Do it. Try to do it throughout your day. Dedicate it as you do it and explore it for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. And then whether you feel you've changed or not, say, okay, let's change to a different one. Let's change to, I don't know, integrity. And I'll work really hard on my integrity for a month. What ones should we choose from? We have death awareness practice. We have Tonglen. We have any of the Lojongs, although we haven't gotten there yet, technically. We have the 6 perfections. We have the opposite of the 10 non-virtues, right? There's all kinds of different lists of virtues that you might want to decide. I'm going to go through those. I'm going to do the opposite of the 10 virtues for the next 10 weeks, right? 1 a week for 10 weeks and see what happens. Like an experiment, like a game with yourself. And then you can track it with your book in that way. Rather than going through the vows, you can say, every 2 hours, I'm going to stop and track. How did I do with my turning jealousy into rejoicing? And then just put a plus or a negative or a comment and continue. We have various commitments, right? Meditation commitments, mostly this group, but others might have Diamond Way commitments already. And our Diamond Way commitments do take priority, but we can check to see exactly what they are. Often it's a certain prayer twice a month and a certain number of mantras. And so we can say, okay, I can accomplish that, but I'm going to focus on my Master Shantideva effort, or I'm going to focus more carefully on something else right now. The disciple, the student, is given all of these tools so that they can adjust according to what's going on in life, how you're feeling, what you're ready to tackle. The old system is student would go to the teacher, the Lama would talk to them, Lama would give them a practice to do and say, when you've realized this, come back. And maybe they didn't come back for 6 months. Maybe they came back 3 days later. And then student goes, da-da-da-da-da-da. And Lama goes, go do more. Or Lama goes, okay, now do this. So if we have access to a Lama in that way, it can be useful. But the thing is, we end up being somebody who can't adjust our own practice. Right. And there's really a usefulness in having the personal confidence to adjust the practices and see how they're going. And when we try and it's not going anywhere, that's when you go, right, for the advice of the teacher. And then you've already tried different things, and that helps them to show you what path to go on. So I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm saying you have the tools, right, to make your own practice decisions. You really do. I want to give you that confidence. And then when you're not sure, by all means, reach out and ask. But try. I have the confidence to try to adjust your own practice according to your apparent need. All right. So the next quality of mind is station. When we're training our meditation skills, we work on Drempa first, because without the ability to hold our mind on the object, there's no need for station. Once we're on the object, there's need for station. But in our off cushion time, we cultivate both of them together, and it takes both of them together to cultivate either one. But let's take our break before we get into this. So I'm going to let the recording go, but if you'll excuse me, I need to go turn my dryer over. Hold on.
Ask another question.
Yes, please.
I feel I'm asking too much, but thank you for willing to explain. So, because this is, they don't like the words they're trying to use over like 2,000 years to sustain this time change. It's very difficult to choose a word that will stay with the language and will not. And so it's very, very tricky to actually explain those things. But do you think maybe now they can be adopted for humans that are using the language now, kind of have this use the words that are more, because the words that we are using in ACI, they sustain the time, like the longest periods of time and changes in their language and everything. But do you think there may be now words that are closer to better understanding and not creating so much of confusion?
Well, I would argue that the English words are already words that have been modified to suit modern times, because otherwise we'd be studying in Sanskrit.
Right.
And
that's
then,
another thing.
right,
It was translated from Sanskrit to Tibetan
right,
to English.
translated, right,
So
right.
it's-
So particularly with the ACI vocabulary, English vocabulary, Geshe has been very precise. As precise as he can, given what he knows and with his knowledge of languages. And when he's teaching in the in the secular, he has modified the language very much.
Yes, thank you.
And then what I find when I talk to people whose training has been limited to that, and I push them a little bit beyond those words, I don't find that I don't find that they have the ability to negotiate the nuance of the vagueness of the words aren't right. That
Okay,
you're
so it
hitting
makes
up
it very
against,
concrete.
right,
makes
that you're
them very
hitting up against and wanting to make more concrete rather than, no, it's the slipperiness of the words that's useful.
because we're explaining something that is not beyond words and beyond.
Exactly. So at this level of study, we really don't want to simplify it, right? We want to try and explain it, always understanding as you do that it's like, no, this isn't right. Because we want to get to that, it just isn't right. You can't get to it in words. You can't get to it in thought. We can't even get to it in concept.
Oh yeah, yes.
It's
Until
non-conceptual. Yeah. It's astute.
okay.
Really, it's
That's
astute to ask.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much. I was thinking my train of thought was that Yeshua now, because the time is changing so fast.
Mhm.
Like 100 years ago, it was much slower than 10 years now between when
Right.
he wrote it and
Right.
or 20 years when he wrote it before,
Right.
30 years. It's so much change happening. And I was wondering if he would write it differently if he had to do it now.
Yeah, you could ask him. I'm going to guess that he would not. You know, that if he was writing to the audience who has, I don't know, has the deep seeds for teaching it, right? Getting it to
Mhm.
teach it. I don't think he would change the vocabulary that he's come up with.
Right. Yeah, the audience has changed a lot. Like the
It
young
has.
people that are.
I know it has.
If I may jump in, I
Uh-huh.
will say that after hearing some of ACI classes, which is obviously Geshe-la's translation, and I met and heard a few teachers who were students of like some famous yoga teachers, Indian yoga teacher who taught directly from Sanskrit. You can see how much mistake were in the last few decades. And a lot of like from the yamas and yamas, for example, from translation to English. And now they're like, and now I heard them who were people who were physically in classes with them, teaching more to the source of how it was. And all of a sudden I heard the same exact word that Geshe-la spoke. And I was like, oh, like the same words from ACI. So actually, I think it's been really bad because so many people have, including ourselves, we're learning from translations. And then there's a lot of additional of this, like, this makes me feel type of translations rather than the accuracy of like what it's all about. So I would have preferred less of watering down because slang and feeling and emotion have become too expressive in the way we communicate. And then when we're trying to pass a very already slippery slope of information as emptiness, because it's very quickly become something else, it's really challenging. So I think to me it was really shocking for the first time to hear what he said, and I was like, I've never really seen it anywhere written in that way. And all of a sudden I've heard certain teachers and Sanskrit speakers speaking from that, or scholars, and I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
but those are not the famous books that we have in English because English translations. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to class. It's been a long break. So Shishin, Pui. Got off in there. Shishin is this quality of mind called watchfulness. Watchfulness is watching what's happening with what's called our 3 doors of expression. Our 3 doors of expression is our speech, the door of our mouth, speech, body, meaning our action, and our thinking, our mind. Like, what's my mouth up to? Not sucking on a fisherman's friend, but what's it about to say? What's my body about to do? What's my mind thinking? There's this quality of mind. You know, Lobsang Chugi Gyaltsen says, there's this little corner of your mind that's watching everything else go on. It's not literally a corner, I don't think, but a part that we can cultivate that actually can loom large enough for us to have it there and rely upon it. I went through a stage where my watcher got like too strong, and it felt like I was just the watcher, like too separate from what's going on. and that didn't feel quite right, because the watcher was so strong, and yes, I was choosing my behavior according to it, but it felt like nothing was really happening to me because I was so separate. And I tuned it back on purpose, and then I think I overdid it. And so now needing to grow it back again. But we want this awareness part of ourselves so sharp that in the midst of an experience happening, we can be keenly aware of the reaction. And then in that awareness, choose whether we want to do the reaction or not. Right? And we start really with just that sequence, aware of what it wants to do, my body, my speech, my mind, and the decision, right? The awareness is what triggers the, am I going to decide to let that go or not? And Master Shantideva says, just get good at that decision, to do it or not. And then for most of the decisions we're going to need to make, it's going to be not, don't do it. And that's going to be his instruction, that when we're first training our shishin, that what we do is be like a bump on a log. Like, we're aware I'm about to do something that will come back to hurt me. Don't try to figure out what should be the opposite, but just don't do what the impulse is trying to make you do. Because in doing so, we've burned off the situation and not reacted. I mean, the reaction was be like the bump on a log. And then that lasts a little while and we have to do something. And maybe even, the boss is yelling, we're about to yell back. Shishin's going, buy yourself some time, not this time. No. And so we're on a bump on a log, and the boss is still yelling, still bump on a log. Boss is still yelling, finally we can't stand it anymore, and blah. That period of time when we were not reacting was all those moments that were being burnt off. in which we didn't react in the way that we ordinarily would. We just like rock the boat of our own mind's mental seeds. Even if we ended up doing the same old reaction. Now, that doesn't mean give yourself permission in the end to act the same old way, but also don't kick yourself so hard when you do. Rejoice in the period of time in which you were able to not react, not react, not react. And then that will evolve, right, with our practice into choosing a different reaction and actually doing that instead. But if we don't have this awareness, watchfulness that allows us to choose the don't act, it'll be really, really hard to choose the opposite behavior because we're so on automatic pilot, right? All right, we feel, we act. So Shei Shin is this awareness of what our body, our speech, and our mind are doing at the moment, which is aware then of what it wants to do in the next moment. And so Master Shantideva says, what we first cultivate is, in order to grow our watchfulness, we cultivate our ability to not be drawn to outer things so automatically. He says, take the time to lower the amount of outer stimulation as the beginning technique of growing our watchfulness. So that his initial recommendation is move to someplace with less stimulation, like move, go live in the forest. It's like, don't do that. Modern times, that doesn't work. And he says, if you can't go live in the forest, then you cultivate this practice called dropping your eyes. And remember, he's talking to a bunch of monastics and the supporters, of course. But monastics have as their primary practice their Vinaya. They're keeping their vows. And at that level, that the Vinaya is about avoidance. You avoid things that would trigger the desire and the aversion so that you can train yourself to grow, right, your goodness skills, right? They're not necessarily Mahayanas yet in his time. So he's talking to people whose primary practice is this avoidance as moral discipline. So he's saying, yeah, watch where your eyes go. Your eyes go to that which you are interested in, that's which you are attracted to. And so if you're out, walking around the city, that storefront catches your eye. That sound catches your ear. The other storefront doesn't, right? It goes by in a blur, but we go from things that we like, things that we're attracted to. And then so goes the mind, and then so go the thoughts. And, maybe we just walk on by, but maybe it attracts our attention so much we stop and browse or get distracted or buy something, who knows what. But it starts with where the eyes go. So he says, use that to our advantage in growing our awareness, is be aware of what's attracting your attention, and be aware that when it attracts your attention, your reaction's going to be just drop your eyes. Like, stop looking at it. That shouldn't be so hard to be aware. My eyes have been attracted and I'm going to drop them. Geshe-la said, if we feel like there are still things I need to see, before I'm willing to cultivate this practice of dropping my eyes. He says, well, then go do it. You know, if you've got to go see the pyramids in Egypt, quit putting it off and go do it. Get it out of your system and then get back to your practice. That you'll find that it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. You know, we'll soon find that those things that we think we might miss if we don't get to see them and engage with them, they were just going to cause trouble anyway. And at some point, our renunciation will tell us, you know, enough of this samsara. But until then, don't force yourself. Because what will happen in the end is at some point we'll go, oh, this practice, it's too strict. It doesn't let me go on vacation. It doesn't let me. No, the practice doesn't not let you do anything. It's totally up to you. So get it out of your system, whatever's still in there that's keeping us trapped in samsara. And then it won't disturb us anymore, is the reasoning. Sights, sounds, flavors, forms, odors, fun, it all interferes with our goal of ultimate enlightenment, he says. Now, Diamond Way says, use it all. We'll learn how to use it all. But we won't be able to use it all without fooling ourselves until we've grown this really strong sheshan about why we're using it all. So we go through this phase, actually a training of not wanting any of it, not needing any of it, knowing none of it is the source of happiness, so that when the time comes, we can come back to using it and not abuse it. So he gives us these 4 advices within this practice of avoid the thing that's distracting you. He says, first of all, as general advice, just keep your eyes lowered. You know, when you're walking around, keep your eyes down on the sidewalk. And, you know, we resist that, saying, well, no, it's not going to be safe, or, you know, I should smile at people, or it's being rude. We have lots of reasons why this shouldn't be the primary mode of operating. He says, if your mind dulls out with boredom, then you can look up, like stop, look up, look around, get refreshed, then lower your eyes and go forward again to get where you're going. He says, if you find yourself in the presence of another person, look at them, be friendly, then say, okay, goodbye, lower your eyes and go on again. You know, I have in my mind, you're walking along and you come across feet, right? And then you just look up, oh, hello, how are you? It's a nice day. Okay, goodbye. But it doesn't sound very Bodhisattva-ish, does it? Last light, he says, once you've finished refreshing yourself, now and then you look around for your safety, but overall, you keep your focus down. And, you know, you can't keep your focus down when you're driving. Please don't do that. That you can't keep your focus down when you have a task to do somewhere, but you get the idea, right? All the distractions that we let our minds fly around to, it's simply a lack of deciding that that's a distraction to whatever I'm doing and growing this awareness that I have the urge to do it, and then deciding I'm not gonna let that habit go on and stopping it. He says, especially if you come across something that's unwholesome, he uses that word, unwholesome, drop your eyes, right? Because, I don't know, human tendency is something unwholesome, we want to know what's going on, right? And it grabs our attention, you know, within some criteria. So he's just pointing out that we're very likely to come across certain circumstances where our ignorant habit will be, no, I have to look at that. That's important. And he says, use your station to really buy yourself the time to decide whether that's true or not. It might be true, right? Might not be. Then he says, and there are 3 circumstances in which we can let up our intense scrutiny a little bit. So here are the 3. When your life is threatened, you can cut loose and run for your life, and you don't have to analyze whether it's the right thing to do. Implying that any other time when your life is not threatened, then have your station be on high alert about what we're going to do. Second circumstance when we can let loose a little bit, when we are engaging in a celebration of offering to the 3 jewels, we can get a little crazy happy and throw flowers in the air. I think that's so funny. Like that's the wildest thing a monk could do is throw flowers. And you don't have to analyze what your motivation was and what's going to come next when you're making an offering and throwing flowers. Third one is when you're doing something of very great benefit for living beings, meaning you've analyzed and come to the conclusion that that deed is something that's of great benefit for living beings. When you launch into doing that task, you don't have to keep your high level of analysis going on all through it, because you've already established that it's a benefit and a virtue, and you can just then go and do it. All the rest of the time, which for me is like my life, implies this recollection and watchfulness. I want them to be on alert. I want to hold me on my best behavior as best I can in order to let the old habits, the circumstances of old habits go by without replanting them, and to grow the ability to plant the seeds, the ripening of which will be progress along my path. It's really not so difficult once we've got the pattern in mind and we understand the non-virtues and the virtues and the process of seed planting and seed ripening. It really isn't so terribly difficult. So someone apparently argues with Master Shantideva. Like, here's the monks whose primary practice is morality. And Master Shantideva, he's talking about the 6 perfections. We haven't actually gotten so much to them yet, but that's his premise, is that the Bodhisattva's way of life is to do the 6 perfections. And this person says, well, if we do those 6 perfections in order, like if that's what we're growing our recollection and mindfulness directed towards, is our practice of giving and then practice of moral discipline. And practice of moral discipline comes second. Aren't you saying that we would give up the moral discipline, not getting angry, etc., in order to focus like single-pointedly on our practice of giving? He says that doesn't make sense, to give up one to do the other. It would have come across sounding like this recollection and watchfulness is focusing on growing one virtue at a time. And that's where this question might come up. And Master Shantideva agrees with this person saying that although it is that we work on one of the perfections at a time and we do them in order, it's not that we're not doing all of them while we're concentrating on one of them. So he goes on to talk about using our recollection and awareness directed towards our practice of the 6 perfections. And he says, when we are working with our practice of giving, we are growing our willingness to give of our material things, to give of our time, to give of our knowledge, to give, right? To give of ourselves to others in circumstances where it's needed, and we have the capacity to do so. And in the process of learning the appropriate way of giving, we are still working with our morality, because the giving does have those qualities that we wouldn't give someone something that they could use to harm themselves, simply because we have the capacity, we have the object, they've actually asked for it, they're in need, and we could solve the need. If by solving the need, they go on and hurt themselves or somebody else, right? So we're still having our understanding of the moralities when we choose how we do our perfection of giving. We don't stop them all to focus on one. They all feed into each other, but there is a reason for the order. For non-Arya, the practices of the 6 perfections is to gather the goodness that will ripen as our deepening meditation, that will ripen as our deepening emptiness understanding intellectually, that will help us do our other 4 perfections more wisely, that will grow our meditation more deeply, that eventually leads to the direct perception of emptiness, becoming Arya on the first Bodhisattva Bhumi, in which our practice is now directed at using what we now know about reality to give, to share, and to plant the seeds for the prosperity and the goodness that allows us to move ourselves through those Bodhisattva Bhumis towards that state of mind that has no more mental afflictions, that then is able to clear out the obstacles to omniscience, thereby reaching total enlightenment. So the purpose of the perfections is this progress along the path. And so the order of the 6 perfections are given to us because of how their influence on the mind grows from one to the next to the next. We don't give up the one to go to the next. But having worked with giving and the increasing willingness to share our own resources and self lessens our attachment to those things in our own time, that the attachment made us willing to be unkind, to keep our stuff, or to avoid somebody from harming our stuff. And as we grow our practice of giving, our willingness to harm somebody else to get or keep our stuff lessens. And as it lessens enough, we reach the point where our willingness to harm anybody for any reason lessens. And that puts us then into our practice of moral discipline, right? Avoiding the 10 non-virtues, practicing the 10 virtues, because we're no longer clinging to our stuff. We're no longer willing to hurt somebody to get what we want. It's really pretty brilliant in terms of starting us out giving carrots and potatoes and ending up being like unable to hurt somebody to get carrots and potatoes. Yeah, because we know that's not where it comes from. Then as our practice of moral discipline gets stronger and stronger, we become really, truly less and less willing to do harm to get what we want, or even to avoid what we don't want. It goes from less willing to the point where it just doesn't even occur to us, because we've used up those seeds that it's right to hurt somebody to protect your family. It's right to hurt somebody to get what you want. As our practice of moral discipline gets more like adverse to any kind of behavior that plants a seed that will come back to be unpleasant for anybody, then we're automatically practicing the not getting angry level, because that's irritating people, angry people. That's where our anger comes up. Unpleasant circumstances make us go, I don't want that. And our old world view was, and I do this to avoid it and that, right? To get the opposite. By the time our moral discipline is so strong, it's like, how bad does it have to get before the old impulse to hurt somebody to get myself out of this situation comes back? If we try to do our practice of not getting angry as the first thing when we first meet Bodhisattva vows, probably we wouldn't be very successful, because our ignorance is still so strong, because our attachments are still so strong. But when we work on it from the giving side first, and then moral discipline, it becomes such that, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's unpleasant. I'm burning off the unpleasantness as long as it lasts. I'm replanting something kind, or I'm at least trying to replant, bump on a log, not hurting anybody. So our ability to tolerate weights improves without getting impatient and angry. Our ability to tolerate unpleasantness increases, right? Without getting nasty. Our willingness to even take on unpleasantnesses if it would help somebody, because we know we're burning off a lot of yuck in the process of doing so. The bar across which our anger would flop is starting to get higher and higher, or maybe lower and lower, right? It's just not going to happen. And Master Shantideva, when we get to that chapter, actually, he's going to say, you do your not getting angry practice well, you can go kiss those angry people goodbye, because they're going to disappear from your life. You know, literally, they don't show up to work anymore, maybe. Or maybe they turn into your best friend, you know, and somebody else comes along someday and says, Sarani, you used to hate that guy. And I'll go, really? You know, I don't even remember that, because seeds have shifted because of my work someplace else, right? With my anger. It becomes not a chore or a challenge or a painful thing to do our practice of not getting angry. which leads to the joyous effort. Right? By now, we're at the point where, wow, when pleasant things happen, that's great. I'll share them. When unpleasant things happen, that's great. I'll burn them off and not replant them. It's so everything that's happening, that's great. That's great. That's great. That leads to this joyous effort, enjoying the process, whether it's pleasant or not, which seems weird, right? No, pleasant things are enjoyable, unpleasant things are not. Well, what is it inside that particular event that makes it pleasant or unpleasant? Is it in the event? Is it in the feeling? Is it in the me? Where is it really coming from? How I treated somebody else in the past. So our joyous effort then grows in us this state of mind that's enjoying itself. And that enjoying itself state of mind can take itself into a deeper level of meditation than can a state of mind that's feeling a bit put out, or feeling like this effort is too hard, or like feeling like something's a chore. You know, when we're training in something that we love to do, it's as fun to do your training as it is to do your performance or your competition. It's a different kind of fun, but it's still fun. And then we want to do it. And that's what helps us stay focused and get better at it. So meditation is the same. Then as our meditative concentration gets deeper, we use that to turn our mind to our understanding of emptiness of the object of our meditation. And that wisdom increases our ability to understand the emptiness of the three spheres in our giving and our moral discipline and our not getting angry and our having a good time doing all that, so that our meditation deepens yet. Allowing us to be at the platforms from which we gain the realizations that actually move us along the path. So those 6 perfections are focused on one by one, but they are all influencing all the others as we work on each one. All right, so somebody must have said, Master Shantideva, it's just too much. How can I recollect the 3 recollections and keep my awareness on what I'm trying to do and keep my eyes down and work on my 6 perfections? And it's just too much. What should I do? So he gives this advice that I've already spoken to. Don't try to grow all those new habits all at once. First, grow the ability to be like the bump on a log. Shing Shindu Mepa. It doesn't say be like a bump on a log. It says stay like wood. Mepa means stay. Shindu is like. Shing is wood. Be like wood. But in English, we have that phrase, be like a bump on a log, right? The log and then the bump on it. That bump doesn't do anything. Gets in the way, but it doesn't yell back. It doesn't cry. It doesn't lie. Be like a bump on a log. When should we be like a bump on a log? He says, I'll give you some ideas about when to turn on this practice. Awareness has to recognize there's this situation that I'm going to talk about. And then we choose, I'll be like a bump on a log. This is one of those, because our awareness has alerted us. So here they are. One of them is chakpa. Chakpa means attachment. More precisely, liking something ignorantly. More precisely, misunderstanding where the pleasantness of the object comes from, and so willing to do something that the result of which is harmful to me in order to get the thing. I don't know if that came across right. Chakpa is another way of saying duchak, and duchak is ignorant liking. So when Sheshan alerts you to, I'm willing to do something unkind to get that thing, be like a bump on a log. Don't do anything until it passes, till the feeling passes. Chakpa. It does not mean to not like things. Geshe is always so clear when he's describing ignorant liking. It does not mean don't like. It means don't like ignorantly. Like things wisely. Ignorance means we believe so strongly that the piece of berry pie will bring me pleasure, that that piece of berry pie should be mine and not anybody else's. And if somebody eats it, I'll be mad at them and not trust them ever again around berry pie. So I won't share my berry pie with them, right? Because they'll eat it all. That is ignorant liking. There's nothing wrong with liking berry pie. Does the berry pie cause the pleasure? Yes and no, right? Not really, but it appears to. And so if I want berry pie to continue to bring me pleasure, I want to share berry pie. Or pumpkin pie, if that's your favorite. Yeah, so yeah, I want to take berry pie to your house because I love berry pie. But I know you like pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie's okay. Or maybe I don't even like pumpkin pie, but I'm going to take it anyway. That's wise liking berry pie. Do you see? We're supposed to wise like things. Droa. Anger. Droa means anger. But of course, ignorantly disliking, meaning disliking something to the point of being willing to do some kind of harm to avoid it. Some kind of harm means doing something to somebody else that when somebody does that to me, I won't like it. Right? That's the criteria for a wrong deed. Not whether the person will like it or not. That's weird. But that's our general criteria. That's how we kind of choose. Next one. Nagyal, pride. When Sheshan says pride happening, stop. Just stop. Master Shantideva is saying. Gyakpa, conceit. Are you recognizing this list? They're the mental afflictions, right? The secondary mental afflictions. When you find yourself acting conceited, better than others, just stop. Be like a bump on a log. Sangdruwa, this is a new one. This one means digging up an ant's nest. That is the circumstance where, for whatever reason, you are publicly criticizing another's faults. Like you're making known somebody else's faults to other people. You have some reason for why we're thinking that's going to be a beneficial thing to do, right? You can think of the ugliness that would be with. When we recognize that we are doing that or about to do that, says Master Shantideva, just stop. He's not saying do something else. Just don't let yourself do it. Next one, yogyu. Yogya means deceiving others. When we want to put up a facade to hide our own bad qualities or put on those good qualities in order to get some kind of benefit or in order to harm somebody else, to upset somebody else, just stop. Daktu, when we're praising ourselves, Geshe-la says it doesn't even have to be, I'm so good, but hogging the conversation. When we find ourselves doing that, just stop. Geshe-la says when we are really doing this practice, we need to be willing to be perceived as a bit odd, because we may be in conversation with the other folks at donut day and then just in the mid-sentence, shut up, because you found yourself, whoops, just stop. We in other Dharma, wait, if you're with people in a similar Dharma group, they'll all understand. Everybody will laugh and admire you probably. But when we want to do it when we're out in our outer life as well, be willing to just stop. Another one is shenmu, which means when we're putting others down, judging others. When you catch yourself, because Sheishin goes, ooh, stop. And the last one he gives is when we're scolding or yelling at somebody. Like in our Bodhisattva vows, we have those losing the 4 points of virtue, right? To not yell back when somebody's yelling, not scold back when somebody's scolding, not bait, not criticize, something like that. Be willing to stop mid-sentence, mid-yell when you catch yourself. Master Shantideva says it's such a powerful goodness that it doesn't matter that people will think you're weird. Let them. It sets a great example. All right. Master Shantideva. We have one more formal class. And then we have the review class. So next Sunday is review class. Those of you who have studied with me know that in review class, you teach me by way of being assigned the questions, and then you can present them or you can just read them as you wish. So I will assign those questions next week at the beginning, or next class, Thursday's class at the beginning of class. So if you want to join us for that, be sure to be here at the beginning of class. You don't feel obligated. Those that are new to me, you don't have to participate if you don't want to. The reason I have people do that is for the seeds to see themselves teaching the Dharma in a safe place where we're all friends. We don't record it, so it's not out there to the world to see what mistakes we made. It's an opportunity to plant powerful seeds. So if you wish, I'll assign those questions at the beginning of next class. And then, right, in that class, we just go through them and review. And then also be thinking how much time you feel you need to get your papers finished and your final exam done and graded, so we can choose a submission date. And Louisa is still willing to do that compilation. Okay. All right. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help at the beginning of class. We've learned a lot that we will use sooner or later to help them in that deep and ultimate way. And that's a great, great goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guides. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you, and then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with happiness, filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom. And may it be so. You know, may I ask, is there anyone here who's not taken the death awareness practice module? Not taken it. Everybody's taken it? No? Yes, no, yes, no. Anybody?
I'm
Not-
not taking it.
Okay, Alonso's not taking it yet. Okay. How about the Tonglen practice module? Anybody not taken the Tonglen practice module? 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. What's the other one? 6 flavors. We're not ready for 6 flavors. I'm not ready for 6 flavors yet. And then 1,000 angels. Okay, that's different. I'm thinking what to offer in November. You know, something that's not, no homeworks, no quiz, just learning something new that hopefully wouldn't overburden us further. I'm thinking maybe we'll do the Tonglen practice module. So just keep it in mind. All right, there's 1 vote for Tonglen. 2 votes, 3 votes. All right, Tonglen it is. Starting early in November, okay? So no homeworks, no quiz, same time. Okay, and it'll be half meditation, half learning about it. And it's a beautiful practice. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great week. Thanks everybody for their homeworks.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
I was wondering if the referral for like looking, the direction of looking down is like a drishti point.
Yeah, it is.
And so that would also be a clue for external and internal drishti in this
Yes,
practice.
yes, yes. Although when Lamas mentioned it, he did mention it in class. He talked about, no, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up a different class. Never mind. Never mind. Yes.
Okay, but take it as a mental clue.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Good. Thanks for asking. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. I'm stopping recording. Yes, stopping recording.